Macca's guides.
Hey everyone, Macca here, playing the Halo Infinite campaign, and in this video I'm going to show you the 12 skulls available in the game. We're going to start with the 5 mission-specific skulls, and then at the end of the video I'll show you the 7 that are available in the open world. This order makes the most sense because the ones in the open world can be grabbed at the very end of the game, and doing the story actually makes them a lot easier, but I'll explain that when we get there. The first skull we can get is in the first mission of the game. It's the boom skull, and you can grab it once you reach this room by hopping up on the second floor, looking along the right hand side, and waiting for one of these lifts to take you up. This skull will double explosion radius. Then on the second mission of the game we have Cowbell. The mission is called Foundations. You'll come through this door with this glass directly in front of you. The weapon will have a funny feeling, and then you can enter this room, take out some enemies, and we're going to be using our grapple shot in order to get the skull. Now, a scan will unveil the skull for you, so feel free to press up on the D-pad if you want to search for yourself. However, keep in mind that these are actually missable. Once you beat this mission, if you don't have the skull, you have to start a separate save slot to get all of the skulls. However, the skulls are counted between saves, which means you'll never have to get the same skull more than one time. But if you make it up this spire and then you're able to shimmy across and get another grapple shot to land specifically on this little ledge right here, you'll end up grabbing the Cowbell skull on the second mission. This skull will increase acceleration from explosions. At this point in the game, you'll likely spend a lot of time in the open world, and you can grab some skulls while in the open world, but I'm gonna skip ahead to the 10th mission of the game called the Command Spire, where we can get our next actual missable skull. So you'll come to this room where there are these large structures that are being stamped through these kind of orange portals, and then you'll see that they turn at the end of the hall towards the right hand side. We actually have to get on top of one of these objects, and then what we want to do is basically look for a ledge at the end of the room that we can then hop up into. Once you do this, it might take you a couple of tries, but don't worry, it's not too bad. You can turn your flashlight on to see a little bit better, but if you look up and get onto this next ledge, you'll see a Forerunner door. Through this door, you can find the Mythic skull. In case you're wondering, the Mythic skull will increase the health of the enemies. In the next main mission of the game, called Repository, we can get Grunt Birthday Party, one of the classic skulls, also the most involved in this game. You'll go forward and interact with this small pedestal. This will allow the light bridge to extend. I'll skip the cutscene. And what you'll notice is that on the right-hand side and on the left-hand side, there are these 2 mysterious doors. So we're going to go over to the one on the right-hand side from where we entered. You can jump straight at it from the middle using your grapple shot, or it's a little safer to jump from kind of the entrance of the room, although I didn't really prove that. Once you get up on this right-hand side secret door, you can go in and find a power cell. And we're going to need this power cell, and we're going to bring it all the way across to the door on the complete opposite side. It's up to you how you do this. I'm going to throw it back to the beginning of the area as there's a lot more, room to throw it and for walls to catch it. If you do throw it off the map, that's fine. It'll just respawn where it just was. Then you just go and grab the power cell, and we're going to start by bringing it to the next area. So I'm going to take it back to the center, and I'm going to toss it to the left door now, and then I'm going to grapple on over to that left door. Again, you can grapple from the center, or you can grapple from the end of the light bridge, which I think is a little bit easier. Now, you're actually going to plant this, but there are more steps coming up, so don't get too excited. Pick up that power cell and now plant it inside of that left-hand side door. Once you go inside, you should find a small slot to put it in, and then you can just place it in and continue on with the mission for at least a couple of minutes. With that power cell placed, you can continue the mission. You'll go through this door and end up in this room. And in front of you, directly above these 2 kind of pillars, you'll notice a glass window, which will be open. If you didn't move the power cell, it wouldn't be open, so we'll go inside and we'll be greeted by 5 camo sword elites, and we will take them out I'm luckily on easy, so I don't really have to worry about the challenge here, but if you're on legendary, good luck. After you take care of all of them, you can grab the skull. If you want to be sneaky, I think you can just run in, grab the skull, and leave, though. You may not have to actually fight them. This skull will make grunts explode into celebrations when headshotted. We're now in the final mission of the game called Silent Auditorium. Don't worry, we'll be able to go back to the open world to grab our other skulls, and we're going to grab Bandana. Now, during this mission, do not kill any sentinels. This is a crucial step in order to make sure this spawns. Now, what I did on easy was I basically just used my grapple shot and ignored the enemies. After about 2 or 3 rooms, you'll come here and extend the light bridge. You would have to turn left to continue the mission, but if you haven't killed any sentinels, you'll actually have a second light bridge that leads to a now opened Forerunner door where you can go inside and pick up Bandana. If you have an explosion that kills a sentinel or something like that, don't worry, just pause the game and restart the mission from the beginning. It is a little bit annoying, but it's better than missing the skull and having to replay the entire game on a new save slot. Now, Bandana is actually a great skull to have because it grants you unlimited ammo and grenades and removes equipment cooldown. The remaining 7 skulls can be found in the open world, available after you beat the main campaign, and I would highly recommend you start by getting 2,600 Valor. This will allow you to spawn a wasp at any of the fobs. The first one we'll go for is Catch. You can find it on the most northern part of the map. Take a flying vehicle over to this canyon where you'll find 2 red hunters, banished hunters basically. And you can take them out or just kind of ignore them if you really want. But behind them, there's a small lake. Next to that lake, there is a tree stump. In that tree stump, you'll find a bunch of helmets as well as the skull we're looking for. The Catch skull will allow enemies to throw and drop more grenades, by the way. Next up, we will find the Fog skull, found not far from Fob Alpha. This is another one you could fly straight at, but it's actually a lot more fun if you do it on foot. You'll come up to this kind of large cliffside, and if you follow along the edge, you'll notice that you can keep going, and you'll end up kind of underneath. You'll spot a small plush toy, and the skull will basically be directly above you, but we'll need to use some well-timed jumps and our grapple shot to get it. Now, you can't jump straight at it, but there is a pretty obvious course that's been laid out. Start by jumping forward and then just keep looking for the next obvious jump that you should be going for. You will have to kind of make that jump and then grapple at the last second for some of them, unless your grapple shot is very upgraded. But even with a level 1 grapple shot, you should be able to make all these jumps without much of an issue. And if you do fall, not really much happens. You'll just reload your last checkpoint and you can try again. This is where it might get a little bit confusing, but you just kind of have to jump across, and then we're going to be working our way more up than anything at the end here. And then there's just a couple more jumps across and you'll end up in kind of this open area here at the top. This is just above that plush toy, and here we can find that skull. The Fog skull, by the way, will disable your motion tracker, aka your radar in the bottom left corner. Now, next up, we're going to do the legendary I Would Have Been Your Daddy skull. Don't worry, you can do it on any difficulty, though. And for this one, it is on top of the tower. Now, there is a mission here, but you don't have to go up the tower all that much. I would highly recommend going to Fob Foxtrot and spawning yourself a wasp and just flying up onto the tower. However, if you want and you're stubborn, you can try to grapple shot up, although personally I found it very difficult to do so. You may also notice that skulls play some spooky music, and you may also notice that there is a Craig Easter egg while you're up here. The I Would Have Been Your Daddy skull will enable rare combat dialogue to become more common, so you can get some new dialogue to show up. As we work our way down the edge of the map, the next one we can grab is the Blind skull. I'd highly recommend you do this one in a wasp as well, but you can do it on foot if you want. You'll notice that there's these two cliffs and there's kind of this giant chasm between them, and there is like a rock that links them about halfway through. So what you want to do is you want to work your way along this right side cliff. You can fly, or if you want, you can walk, but you want to end up on top of this rock that links these two cliffs together. Now, once you spot the rock, you'll notice that there are these blue signals basically that are all over these rocks, and we're going to be following this down the cliff. Again, you can fly straight at it, but it's a lot more fun if you jump. And then if you make your way all the way down here and then turn around along your left-hand side and make the last jump, you'll basically land right next to the skull. And if you didn't know, the blind skull will basically turn off all of your heads-up display and all of your weapons, so you're basically blind. You won't see any of the useful information you need to know on your screen. The next skull we'll go for is Thunderstorm, and it is found not too far from Fob Juliet, near the beacon. Now, you can do this one on foot, but having a wasp definitely makes it a lot easier and a lot faster. You'll notice the beacon off to my right, and then you'll notice this pillar that I just shot at. That is where the skull is. If you want to do it on foot, you can go up this cliff and then make the big jump to land on the pillar, although it is quite difficult. Otherwise, you can try to grapple up the side of that small pillar, or you can try to make this jump, which I wanted to do just for fun and to show you. Good luck, it's not easy to stick the landing. But once you are up here, just pick it up and you're done. The Thunderstorm skull will upgrade the rank of most enemies, so basically they'll just be tougher. We then start moving towards the bottom right-hand corner of the map. This is not far from Fob Kilo. Don't worry, you don't really need a vehicle here. We can find the Black Eye Skull, of course, behind the waterfall where all good collectibles are. We're going full circle all the way with Halo Combat Evolved. Now, behind the waterfall, there is a tiny little cave. It can be very hard to see, and when you approach the waterfall, your vision will get all blurry, so it's kind of hard to make it out, but with a little bit of practice, you should be able to just grapple straight into the hole. Once you're on the ledge, just crouch underneath, go inside, and find the Black Eye Skull. For this, your shields will only recharge if you melee. Last but certainly not least, we have Famine. This is located near the bottom right-hand corner of the map, not far from Fob November. You will need a flying vehicle, so hijack a Banshee or use a Wasp, and it's not far from this beacon. There is a small floating island off to the side that we will be flying to. Fly around to the back of this island, and you should notice some ledges, and there will be a downed enemy here. We can hop out and then grab our Famine skull. This should be the last one we need, and for Famine, enemies will drop half of the ammo they normally would. Once you pick this up, you should also get the Catacombs achievement/trophy for getting all of the hidden skulls. Thank you so much for watching. Drop a like on the video, share the video with a friend. Don't worry, I'll make plenty more Halo Infinite videos, so stay tuned. A special thanks to Green Skull and Duststorm for helping out with some of these locations, and a super special thank you to everyone on Patreon for supporting the show. Peace.